welcome back to Lessons Learnt. I'm Sherry, and this is part 2 of the Red Delicious Apple wall hanging project we're in the midst of. I will link part 1 in the description box of this video so that you can go back and see the beginnings of this and the pattern, all the different specifics that you need to be able to make one of these of your own. I had made an apple block and also an applesauce jar block at the end of our part 1, so I have since finished my apples in my applesauce jars that I needed, 4 of these and 12 of these, and I have them hanging here on the design wall. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about color and coordination and just kind of see how this comes together. Last week I went over with you all the different pieces of fabric that I pulled from my stash. Without having to use a specific line of fabric, I was able to pull from my stash and coordinate out a quilt. So there's lots of tips in that part 1 for that. This week we're going to have to put these blocks together. So we've got sashing. We've got sashing in between the blocks, and we have cornerstones that go in between the blocks. Only on the interior are we going to do that. And then I have one fabric that's cut for my thin border that will go all the way around, and then a thick border that will go around that. And then also over here I have posted my binding strips that I haven't made yet, haven't made into binding. If you're using a different color, you would definitely want that hanging around here so that you could kind of see how this is all going to coordinate together. Here are my sashing strips. I had 6 different fabrics that I had pulled that were within the same family of fabrics. So you need 24. So I had 5 different fabrics. So that didn't come out even, but that's okay. I just added 1 to one of my darks and 1 to one of my lighter ones. So it'll all work out in the wash, as they say. So what I'm going to do today with you is show you how I'm planning on spreading these out evenly so that nothing gets concentrated in one spot. And I decided to use all these different prints, although they're very subtle, they're all different. That will create some texture in your quilt instead of just having one stripes running through, which there are instances where quilts will call for that. It would be necessary to have the same fabric for all of the sashing, but for this one I wanted a little bit of a vintage feel and a little bit of a texture type of feel. So you'll see what I'm talking about as we go along and start putting this together. I probably will not be showing you the actual sewing. This is more an exercise in color and pulling from your stash to be able to do a project. So that's mostly what I'm going to concentrate on. So what I have here are my strips. I have my 24 strips that I need. And I'm just going to stack them according to their prints. And just kind of, I've got 3 that are light and 2 that are kind of medium. So I'm going to put those medium ones in the middle. So now I have one big stack. I do have repeating ones right on the top, and then you get into the repeating of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through from the top of my stack and place one. The next one of the same print, I'm going to put here and here. Okay? So so far that's how this is going to go. Now, this one is the exact same one as that one. So I'm going to save it to the side so that it's not touching or nearly touching the next one. So I'm going to go ahead into my next one. This one's on the first row. Whoops. It didn't want to stick on there, did it? Okay, so that's my next color or print, you might say. So I'm just going to go down diagonal this way, just like I did with the first one. And then this one. And then that means we have to go back up here. So my next one will be the same color as this, so I'm just going to put it aside. And then here's my next print. So I'm just going to go to my next one, my third one over, and then down here. So you see how I'm going kind of on a diagonal to spread out the different prints. So this means I'm at the end here, so I'm going to have to go back over here. I still have one of these left. I'll lay that aside. Now I'm back around to one of the darker ones. So here we are up here. And then here. And here. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of these. This is the one that I have the extra of. I had to have 2 extra, so it has an extra one. So I'm going to put those to the side, and then I'm getting into my last print here. So I don't see that I need to have any more going this way. Those are all filled. So here's my last color, my last print, and then I'm just going to go down here. Always kind of coming from this way. And then I'm going to lay those aside, and I'm going to go back to the ones that I laid aside before. I started with this one, so I think I will probably put it here. And the next one here. And then back here. So until we got to our up and down ones, we were going this way. Once we filled all those, the horizontal ones, and started on the vertical ones, we just went this way. Because that's all we have left to work with. So right now I have 3 of these and 2 of these. So I'm going to have to spread those out real nice and evenly. Let's see. It's a little bit challenging once you get down to the last ones. That doesn't need to go there. So once you've got that last little handful, it's time to just start filling them in where you can. I think I'll leave it like it is. These 2 are close, and then there's this one here, but I think they're varied enough that it's not going to make any difference. So I have 2 left, and that's just how it worked out with the fabric that I had. Now I have my cornerstones, so I need 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have enough of those. I wouldn't want to put this one here because that's that print. So I'm going to put him over here, and we may move these around, so don't get stuck on them being in any certain place. And see, that one matches that, so I wouldn't use that. I would use one of these. And then let's see, this one can go here. I think I want this dark one right here. Well, that looks like that band right there, so I'll put maybe I'll put this one. Nope, that's one of those. So I'm trying to stay away from something that's the same. This one's not the same as any of the bands on the jars, so I'll do that. So I have this one here. How about here? Here. And we have one more left. I think I'll swap. No, I think I like that there. Alright. So now's the time to kind of look and see, do I need to change anything? I think it's okay. And I might even want to go ahead, and even though these aren't cut to the exact right size yet, put these on and see how things look. Alright, we're starting to see it come together now. So just get back away from it. I'm going to go back there and look at it and talk to you. I think it looks pretty good. And I don't want to overthink it, because you could easily overthink it. Good enough. If you wanted to, you could also take your thicker border, take a piece on the top and on the bottom, and see, I have not cut these to size either, and see how that's looking. Alright, that looks pretty good. I can kind of see my color scheme coming together now. I can't wait to quilt this. Alright, so the work that I have to do now, let me get you a better picture. The work that I have to do now is putting my rows together. So that means you start here, add this, and add this, and then put all of those together. Alright, so I'm going to go do that, and then when I come back, I'll put these together. And then after that, we'll be putting all of our rows together. Then the thin border, then the large border. You know the drill. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, I lost a little footage that I was showing you. I didn't have my microphone on. When you go to put these strips together with your little cornerstones, just make sure you iron in a way that they will nest. It's very helpful for cornerstones. I love to almost always iron open my seams, but when I have these cornerstones, the nesting really does help. So you can see how these light ones go inward and these red ones go out. So they nest together, and you can just hold those together and feel that they nest together, or you can pin them. Either way, you don't want to be off any more than about a 1/16 on those, even though you can stretch either your top or your strip, depending on how it needs to stretch. Just a little 1/16 of an inch is all I would stretch. If you can't get it to fit, then something is not right with your cutting. So you might want to have to revisit some of your blocks in that case. So that's why it's important to cut really accurately from the start. But it's not all lost if it's not right. You can fix it. Okay, so now we need to put our strips on for our narrow border that goes on before our thick border. So what you're supposed to do is get your top out either on a table or on a board like this, on a design wall, and take something to measure with, anything that you have. We're going to be putting the sides on first. So you're going to want to take a measurement in 3 places, just kind of dispersed across, and then average that out and cut your strips to that length. I have strips cut longer and wider than that, and you can just go ahead and sew those on and cut off the extra. On a small project like this, not a big deal. On a big quilt, you cannot do that, because your borders will be like, they'll be like this. They'll be twisty and wavy. So since we're going to do the sides first, we're going to have to measure across those 3 distances and average them out. So there's as much as a 1/2 inch difference on that. So I'll take those 3 figures, average them out, and cut my strip to be that. And that's what's going to have to be sewn on. There again, you can stretch and flex a little bit, but not much. So let me go ahead and do my left, right. I'll remeasure again for the other direction and do my top and bottom. Ta-da! Here we go. Got my borders on. Everything's hanging pretty good. I like it. I like how it turned out. The only, I won't say it's a regret, but if I had had something better, I would have used something a little darker for my background. This is that echru-ish light tan with a white flower on it. It really reads light for some reason. It's a little deceiving. So I think how I'm going to not really remedy, but maybe tone the lightness down of that is to quilt it up with a kind of a golden thread like this color. We shall see. Not yellowy, not as yellowy as that, but maybe like a deeper gold. So let's go quilt it. Here we are, all set up on the long arm. All ready to go, except I need to pick a thread color. And as I mentioned before, you can go quite a few different ways with this. Of course, you know, there's green, there's red, there's light, there's kind of a medium-y, echru-ish looking color. Remember we had our gold down there of our applesauce jars, which you cannot see because it's rolled up. You can see the back of it. I kind of want something that shows up goldish, which would be this one. The other one's fine. It would just blend in basically. Even on the reds, it wouldn't be very, I don't know, it might show up a lot on the red. Either one of them will. It's kind of a gamble-ish situation. You just kind of let the threads hang around on there and see what they do depending on where you put them. I think I'm going to go with this one. So I need to roll a couple bobbins, maybe just one. It's not very big. I might roll two just in case. Get it all threaded up and pick a design. Alright, so I have the quilt all basted down along the top and as far down as I can go on the sides. And I chose this design right here, which is a trailing leaf. And I've got it fit just perfectly in there. At least it looks good enough for me. So I'm going to start stitching. Okay, getting started here. And we're just going to let this run. I think I can get 3 rows in one frame space. So that's kind of nice. It does go over the edges a little bit just to make sure you got your full design in there. It's always perfectly fine. So I will see you at the end. All finished on the long arm. Here's our little leaf design, if you can see it. There you can see it a little bit better. Sorry for the shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the top off of the long arm and take this and go bind it. Okay, here it is, hanging outside in the sunlight. Let's go in for a little bit of a closer look. I just used the same fabric for the binding. And I hope you can see the effect that I was trying to create with the sashing, where it's not all identical strips, but rather a variety to give some shading, some texture, and of course the quilting gives a lot of good texture too. And that was called Leaf Trail. And I just kind of, probably about a 3-inch design on there. So I think it turned out pretty good. So let me know if you make this pattern. I would love to see yours. Send it to me for Finish It Friday. The instructions are in the description box for how to do that, or you can share it on the Lessons Learnt Facebook group. Alright, I hope you make one too.